Hi everyone, it's Steve here, back with another Friday build update. Today we're going to do something a little bit different and show you the end-to-end registration flow of an MSP working with a enterprise customer, and we're going to do it in real time so you'll get a sense of just how easy and quickly it is to set up from both sides. And when I'm acting as the customer, you'll see me put on some different attire so you'll know when I'm the customer and when I'm the MSP. Alright, let's get into it.
Thanks, Steve. So, hi everyone. You don't normally hear from me, but it's Greg here, and I'm going to narrate what Steve is up to as he goes through this setup. First of all, he's going to do the MSP account and register that on the platform. Now the account's registered, it's time to integrate with the MSP's core system of their own. In this case, we're using ConnectWise, and Steve's setting up the various authentication details for ConnectWise. So it's time to switch into customer mode, and Sunglass Steve here is now the enterprise customer who's going to configure their side of the platform. First off, we will register. Now that registration is complete, it's time to configure the enterprise system, which is ServiceNow in this case. So again, filling out the authentication details for ServiceNow. So after that, a quick test, and we move on to the organization connection. This is where we connect from the MSP to the enterprise and establish a relationship. The enterprise customer will share their code back with their MSP, and that's what establishes the connection between the two platforms. So we return, and now Steve is back as the MSP user. So he'll enter the code that he received from the customer, and this will pair the two organizations. Now that he's got a contract in place with his customer, he's going to go through and select the defaults for that relationship here. So in ConnectWise, there's a particular board, for example. That's where the tickets for that particular customer will come in, and there are defaults for items like the priority and the status of when a new ticket is raised, and so these are set at this point. So our enterprise customer has returned, and he's going to set up the ServiceNow settings in this case. First, we'll find the relationship, and then we'll go through and configure the specifics around the defaults and the way that the ServiceNow integration is handled. The ServiceNow config normally has items like the resolver group, which is like the trigger that triggers the sync. So if an item is assigned to a particular resolver group, tickets will sync. And also the types of items that do get synchronized, like catalog items or incidents. A final switch now, and we're going to look at the world from the MSP side again, and this is where we will handle the field mapping. So at this point, we're looking at the source and target fields between each system and how they're going to behave and which statuses or which items are going to map to other corresponding items in the target system. You can see here as we're mapping the statuses between the two platforms, there are directions, and that's because certain triggers in the workflow will trigger different events. Typically, tickets will be created from the source side and the customer's ServiceNow in this case. But we'll see that in closures, we also have to look at the detection for a closure event, which will typically happen on the MSP side and need to be synced primarily back to the customer system. Now the field mapping is complete, it's a final sanity check to make sure that we've got everything covered before we do a final sync and test that everything's working. So Steve moves out of the way. In just over 11 minutes, we're all done. Back to you, Steve.
All right, everyone. So that's how easy it can be just to set up the initial synchronization between two customers. That's it for today. Have a good one, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks. Bye.